Hi. It was a Thursday. I remember because she always worked late on Thursdays, said her team had standing meetings, then back-to-back inventory checks at the downtown office. I never questioned it. I trusted her. Or maybe I trusted the idea of us more than the reality we were living in. That night, I was making dinner when her text came through. Running late again. Don't wait up. Love you. Short. Efficient. Like a line item on a task list. That used to bother me. The way her warmth started sounding more like scheduling than affection. But I told myself she was tired. We both were. Two people chasing careers, stability, maybe a baby someday. We said we were on the same team. I ate alone. Chicken and rice, something simple. Flipped through channels, then ended up half watching a documentary about deep-sea creatures while she was supposedly navigating late-night spreadsheets. But when I emptied the trash the next morning, I found something that didn't belong. A folded receipt. Not mine. The restaurant's name was burned into the top in blue ink. Ambrosia. A new place. Upscale. I remembered her mentioning it once in passing. Said a few of her coworkers were obsessed with the wine list. It wasn't the restaurant that caught me, though. It was the line at the bottom. Dinner for two. 2 appetizers. 2 entrees. 1 shared dessert. And a bottle of wine. Pricey. At the very bottom, scrawled in pen, her signature. Her full name, clean and confident, like the one I saw on our mortgage paperwork. There it was again, staring back at me. Only this time, it was authorizing a night out with someone else. I held the receipt like it might change if I stared long enough. I checked the date. It was yesterday. Thursday. The same Thursday she was supposedly locked in her office with her team doing audits. The lie wasn't even intricate. It was just easy. I didn't confront her that morning. I folded the receipt, slipped it into my wallet, and went through the motions. Coffee. Shower. Work. I took a longer route to the office that day. My mind was buzzing. Not angry. Not yet. Just disoriented. Like reality had shifted a few degrees off-center. That night, she came home tired, as if on cue. Keys jingling, heels clicking against the tile, her sigh audible before I even turned around. God, I'm beat, she said, toeing off her shoes. You wouldn't believe how backed up we were. Jenna double-booked 2 client calls, and the system went down for like an hour. She kissed me on the cheek, warm lips, familiar perfume. I studied her face. There was no guilt, no flicker, nothing. That, somehow, was worse than if she'd flinched. I nodded. Rough day. Rough week, she corrected, flopping onto the couch. But it's almost Friday. Small miracles. She asked what I wanted to do for the weekend. Maybe a hike. Maybe try that new taco place by the lake. I said I'd check our schedule, but my mind was already elsewhere. Ambrosia. The signature. The second glass of wine. I wanted to believe there was a reasonable explanation. A client dinner. A business associate. But her name was signed. Not her company's. And she hadn't said a word about it. No slip. No mention. I didn't sleep well that night. I stared at the ceiling and tried to calculate how far back this could go. Tried to remember the last Thursday that felt normal. The last time I believed her routine without suspicion. Had she been careful all along? Or had I just been blind? The next morning, while she was in the shower, I checked the laundry. Her slacks were neatly folded in the basket. I slid my hand into the pockets, not proud of it, just desperate. And there it was again. Another receipt. Same place. Different date. 2 weeks ago. Dinner for 2. Her signature. A pattern. Still, I didn't confront her. I told myself I needed more. That confronting her with 2 receipts would only lead to deflection. Denial. Maybe she'd say it was with a friend. Or a client. Or make me feel paranoid for asking. So I started watching. I noted what time she left. What time she said she'd be back. I started jotting down her outfits, her perfumes, her moods. Things I should have paid attention to before, but didn't, because I thought I didn't need to. Because I believed we were solid. That our foundation was unshakable. But something had shifted. I could feel it in the way she checked her phone under the table. In the delay between when I asked a question and when she answered. Like she had to recalibrate what version of the truth to offer. That Saturday, she said she was going to a yoga retreat with some coworkers. Just for the morning, she said. Then brunch. Girl time. You know? I nodded. Told her to have fun. Watched her drive away. Then I followed. Not close. Not like in the movies. I kept distance. Stayed behind 2 cars. My hands were cold on the steering wheel. Heart thudding with something between panic and resolve. She didn't go to a yoga studio. She didn't even leave the city. She parked outside a cafe on 6th, where a man was already waiting. He stood when she arrived, hugged her, his hand resting on her lower back a little too long. They went inside. I didn't move, didn't get out of the car. I just watched. 40 minutes later, they walked back out, laughing. She touched his chest. He kissed her cheek. They stood close, not lovers in hiding, but people who'd long stopped pretending they weren't. I drove away before she could see me. My stomach was hollow, my hands numb. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just went home, sat in our kitchen, stared at our wedding photo on the fridge, and pulled out the receipt again. That little line at the bottom, dinner for two, felt like the final period on a sentence I didn't know she'd been writing for months. I wasn't ready to ask her. Not yet. But the truth was no longer hiding. It had already signed its name. Sunday morning started with silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that hangs in the air like fog. Thick, uncomfortable, hard to breathe through. She was still asleep when I made coffee. Still wrapped in the same lie she wore the day before. I watched the steam curl out of my mug and wondered how long she'd been practicing the art of smiling while lying. I kept thinking about his hand on her back. The way she laughed. It wasn't a new laugh, but it felt like I hadn't heard it in months. Not like that. Not for me. She came downstairs around 9:30, hair tied up, wearing the old college hoodie I gave her years ago. It used to mean something. Now it felt like a ghost. She stretched, yawned, said, smells good, and kissed my cheek like everything was fine. That kiss stayed on my skin like a bruise. You sleep okay? She asked, grabbing a mug. Yeah, I lied. You? She nodded, too quickly. Out like a light. Yesterday wore me out. She said this while stirring her coffee, while her eyes stayed focused on the swirling cream like it could absolve her. I didn't answer, just watched. I think I expected something to break. A twitch, a pause, something that said she was hiding more than just fatigue. But nothing came. That afternoon, I went back to Ambrosia. Not to confront. Not yet. Just to ask questions. The hostess was polite. She didn't recognize me, but when I asked about a reservation history under my wife's name, she blinked. She's a regular, she said. Regular. Do you know if she dines alone? I asked. The hostess looked hesitant. She's usually with someone. Same guest most times, I think. Tall guy. Dark hair. I nodded, thanked her, and walked out. There it was again, no imagination needed. Just confirmation. I sat in my car for a long time. I think I was waiting to feel angry enough to act, but instead, I just felt hollow. It's strange how betrayal doesn't hit like a bullet. It's slower, quieter, like a leak in the foundation. By the time you notice it, it's already done its damage. I thought about calling her out right there, showing her the receipts, telling her about the hostess, the man with the hand on her back. But something stopped me. Maybe it was fear. Fear that I'd hear the truth out loud, that she'd say it wasn't a mistake or a phase, but a choice. So instead, I started collecting. Over the next 2 weeks, I traced patterns. Every Thursday, like clockwork, she worked late. On 2 of those nights, I parked across the street from Ambrosia and watched them through the frosted windows. Same man. Always early. Always touching her. I started tracking her GPS. I'm not proud of it. I enabled the Find My app a year ago when she left her phone at a cabin trip, and I'd forgotten about it. Until now. One Thursday, she told me her manager was taking the team out for a quarterly performance dinner. I smiled, kissed her forehead, and waved goodbye. She drove to his apartment. Stayed for 3 hours. That night, she came home humming. Humming. She curled up next to me in bed and whispered, "Long night. Glad to be home." I lay there, staring at the ceiling, her breath warm on my shoulder, and wondered how many times she'd said that. How many nights she kissed me with someone else still on her lips. Friday morning, I called in sick. Not to mope, but to think. To plan. I booked a session with a therapist. I needed somewhere to speak, even if I wasn't ready to be heard. I walked in with a quiet dread, sat on the couch, and when the therapist asked what brought me in, I said, "I think my wife is cheating on me, and I can't figure out what hurts more, that it's happening, or that I saw it coming and did nothing." She asked if I'd confronted her. I shook my head. I'm not there yet. Why not? Because once I say it out loud, we can't go back. And I still want to go back, even if it's broken. I didn't expect to cry, but I did. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just one of those quiet breakdowns where you wipe your face with your sleeve and pretend it's just dust in your eye. That night, I sat with the receipts spread out like evidence. Ambrosia, Cafe Gracia, a bar downtown. Her signature on each one, unbothered, untouched by guilt. Then I found one I hadn't noticed before. Dated 3 months ago. A hotel. Just one night. Private suite, the itemized list said. Her name at the bottom. That was the moment the denial finally snapped. She hadn't just slipped. She hadn't just crossed a line. She'd drawn a whole new map. And I was never on it. I stared at that receipt until the words blurred. Then I folded each one and slid them into an envelope. Because I knew now, this wasn't just a phase. It was a story she'd been writing behind my back. And I had just found the title. It was a Thursday again. Fitting, I guess. The circle needed to close where it started. She was getting ready like usual, blouse buttoned, hair pulled back, perfume spritzed just once on each wrist. I stood in the doorway, coffee in hand, watching her adjust her earrings in the mirror. She caught my eye in the reflection and smiled. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded. "Yeah. You?" "Just tired. Long day ahead." She turned, leaned in, kissed me. The kiss didn't land anymore. It hadn't for a while. When the door closed behind her, I didn't hesitate. I grabbed the envelope, now thick with receipts, printed maps, phone screenshots, time-stamped photos, and slipped it into my coat pocket. I'd spent too many nights looking at evidence. It was time she saw it too. I waited outside Ambrosia. Parked 2 cars down. Same table by the window. Same man with the tailored jacket. I watched her arrive, that practiced smile lighting up her face, the one she hadn't given me in months. He stood, kissed her cheek. She touched his arm like she always used to touch mine. I waited 20 minutes. Not because I wasn't ready, but because I wanted to see it clearly. Her laugh. His hand on her thigh under the table. The way her body leaned in. Open, comfortable. That was the part that hurt the most. How easy it looked for her. Then I got out of the car and walked inside. The hostess blinked when she saw me. "Sir, do you have a—" "I'm joining someone," I said quietly, pointing. Their table was in full view now. She hadn't seen me yet. Her head was tilted, smiling at something he said. I walked up without making a scene. No shouting. No drama. Just quiet steps on polished floors. When I reached their table, she looked up and froze. Her face paled, then flushed. She opened her mouth, but I beat her to it. "Hi," I said to the man. "I don't think we've met. I'm her husband." He blinked, looked at her, then at me. I turned to her. "Working late again?" She didn't answer. Her jaw worked, but no words came. I pulled out the envelope, set it gently on the table, and tapped it. "I'm not here to fight," I said. "I just wanted you to see it. All of it." She didn't move. Her eyes flicked to the envelope, then back to me. "I know," I said, voice low. "About the hotel. The dinners. The lies. I know." A few people nearby had noticed now. Nothing loud, just heads turned, a few forks paused midair. She whispered, "Can we talk somewhere else?" "We'll talk," I said. "But not tonight." I looked at him. He didn't meet my eyes. Just stared at the table like it held answers. Then I walked out. That night, she came home early. She didn't speak for a while. Just stood in the doorway, clutching her keys like they might anchor her. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she said. I looked up from the couch. "You signed every dinner. Every night. You meant it." She sat down slowly, like the floor had turned to ice. "I was lonely," she said. "You were always working. Always distracted. I felt invisible." I nodded. "I was working for us. I thought you knew that." She wiped at her eyes. "I didn't think you'd notice." That stung more than anything. Not the cheating. Not the lying. But the assumption that I wouldn't notice. Or worse, wouldn't care. I said, "You could have told me you were unhappy. I didn't want to hurt you. But you did." She cried then. Quiet, shoulder-shaking sobs. I didn't move. I just listened. I'd done my crying already. In parked cars, in cold kitchens, in the silent hours of the night. "I'm not here to punish you," I said finally. "I'm not going to scream. But I can't do this anymore. Not with you. Not after everything." She nodded. Slowly, like her neck had forgotten how to move. The next morning, I called a lawyer. We kept it civil. Quiet. No courtroom battles. No revenge. Just silence where love used to be. The house went up for sale. She moved out first. And I started again. Small things at first. New routines, solo walks, journals. The pain didn't leave overnight. It carved space inside me. But that space became mine again. Sometimes I still pass Ambrosia on my way to work. I never stop, but I glance at the window, and I remember the man I used to be, trusting, hopeful, naive. I'm not angry at him. He loved deeply. He gave everything. But now, I'm someone else. Not colder, not bitter, just awake. And sometimes, that's enough. Bye-bye.